Today is January 20th, 2024. I am Gabriele Fellows with the Museums of Lake County, and this is an oral history interview with Jan Peterson. Jan, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I'm glad you invited me.
So to get started, what can you tell us about your name? Were you named after anyone?
Yes, I was named after an actress named Janet Leigh, and my mom just really liked that name. So that's where I got my name.
And what is your date of birth and how old are you?
Okay, my date of birth is August 8th, 1948, and I'm 75 years old.
And where were you born and raised?
I was born in Sacramento, and I was raised in Sacramento until I was 21.
And what was it like back then?
Well, we lived in a very poor community, and we walked where we needed to go. We walked to school, we walked to church. It was very different, but we had opportunities to grow and learn as well.
And what were your parents' names?
Well, my mom's name was Patsy Mae Mosley, and my dad's name was John David Cook.
And do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have two sisters. I have my sister Patty and my sister Margaret, and they both live in Texas now.
And what do they do for a living?
Well, Patty, my older sister, was a surgical nurse, following my mom's footsteps, and my sister Margaret was in investing in an insurance company.
Oh.
And since retired, both of them.
And who is the earliest ancestor you know about?
Well, my mom did a lot of history on the Pilgrims. So some of the Pilgrims that came over on the Mayflower, I can't remember his last name, but he was one of the Pilgrims that came over on the Mayflower, and that's the one I remember that Mom sharing us with.
Do you know his name?
His name was John, and it started with an H, and I don't think it was Huffman, but someone like that. He was one of the ones that came over from England on the Mayflower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what did your father do for a living?
He worked for PG&E, and my mom was a surgical nurse also.
Oh, okay. When did your parents get married?
Oh my, that one definitely would have had to been in the 20s, but yeah, probably around the 20s.
And what do you remember from childhood?
Well, the one thing I remember is walking to school, living in a very small little house, sharing my little room with my two sisters, and just doing a lot of walking and helping out in the neighborhood and things like that.
And did you have a best friend as a kid?
Yes, her name was Sharon, and Sharon and I did a lot of activities together. We went places together, and we graduated from high school together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did you have any hobbies as a kid?
Yes, I did. I enjoyed biking, hiking, reading, arts and crafts. I just was a very active little kid.
Did you have any pets?
We did. We had one dog and many little puppies running around the house. But yeah.
And what was your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject was reading, and I enjoyed learning so much. I just wanted more and more, and so that's why I became a teacher. One of the reasons.
What were some of your favorite books?
Some of my favorite books. Oh, well, I enjoyed all the adventure books that they had. You know, the Nancy Drew books, so many of the various books that were available as a series of books. I also read a lot of God's Word in the Bible. That was a real special book to me. And just enjoying adventure stories is mainly what I was interested in. Yeah.
And where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in Sacramento, Luther Burbank High School, graduated.
How many students were there?
At that time, I would say probably 500 to 600, small high school. Yeah.
And did you have a favorite teacher?
In high school, I don't remember the name, but the musical teacher. I got very actively involved in music. I started playing the cello in an orchestra that we had there at Luther Burbank, and we did a lot of tours at various schools. But his name is not coming to me.
Did you have a mentor?
I'm thinking, looking back, when I was in 5th grade, I did have a teacher, Mrs. Murphy, I remember her name, who mentored all three of us, the sisters, in, enjoying school, learning about music. She played a big part in my life, and I would say then she did mentor me and encourage me to continue in my education.
And were you involved in any after-school activities?
Yes, I was in the sports. I did a lot of track, so I was sports-oriented also, as well as music. I did a lot of music, and we had a lot of church activities that I was involved in and kind of directed. So I did a lot of after-school things. Mm-hmm.
So how has the world changed since you were young?
The world has changed through technology. And I think that's one of the keys that opened up doors that sometimes make me nervous for little children. The reading, I remember so well in school. When I was younger, I remember enjoying getting outside, playing with other children. And now I see today more, can I get home and do a video game? Or can I, be involved in... Technology is a good step in our society, but it's how it's being used sometimes for young children that concern me the most. Mm-hmm. But we use technology in school. Each child has their own Chromebook. We do a lot of research, a lot of reading programs online. Mm-hmm. But there have been changes, and I think some of it has been technology and social media.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And did you have any goals or dreams for when you grew up?
Oh, yes. My dream was to become a teacher. So when I turned 16, as soon as I could teach Sunday school, I started teaching, and it just stayed with me up until right now. I'm still teaching, and the joy of teaching is beautiful. So. Mm-hmm.
And where did you go to college?
I went to Sacramento State in Sacramento, the university there, and I graduated under child development and social science, and continued on up here and got my first job here in Lake County in 1971.
And what was your major?
My major was mainly social science, minor child development. Mm-hmm.
Did you work during college?
Oh, yes, I did. In order to go to college, I worked at a hospital where my mom worked and my sister, and I worked in the kitchen, though, and I had to help all patients. I stayed late working on providing, food for people who weren't able to eat a proper meal. And so I spent 5 years working in a hospital, working with nurses and doctors, snack bars.
So talk about your first job after college and all the jobs you've had after that.
Right. Well, my first job was Canocti Unified School District. I started in 1971. It was a school where we started as a double session. We had to share a classroom with another teacher. So as a result, I was the newbie, and I helped start a new school, which was called Oak Hill Middle School. But we used it as a primary school. And I taught there for 2 years. And then I really felt a calling to go on the mission field. So in 1973, I went to Taiwan. I started a school there and stayed there for 2 years. And one of the nice ladies at Canocti, Carol McClung, said, Jen, there's an opening at Canocti. So I came back in 1975 teaching. And I've been here ever since. So mainly teaching has been my career. Mm-hmm.
And what different projects have you done as a teacher?
Oh my, I do what you call the STEAM approach. I do science, technology, math, and I combine them all, and I provide projects. So I have a theme, whatever the theme is, and then from the theme, I develop all these activities that go along with it. And the kids get such a joy out of it. They even have the schedule down to know, Monday we do science, Tuesday we do this, Wednesday we do art, on and on. So, yeah. So those are many of my projects. I also do, I mentor teachers. I've done a lot of mentoring. I've help in the after-school programs. I do a Lego education after-school program. I've done a little bit on programming, coding. So I've stepped out of the realm of teaching and going into helping children after school. And those are many, many projects I've done over the years.
You helped with a grant from IBM too, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I had an opportunity to be asked to set up a grant with the principal at that time, Dennis Chamberlain. And what we did, we filled out the paperwork, and I was the first. For Canocti, we had the first IBM computers. I had about 10 of them set up in the library at Burns Valley. That's where I came back and taught at Burns Valley first after staying in Taiwan. And we set up a computer lab. It was the first one. It was really exciting. Even though what I said earlier in reference to technology, the enrichment that I felt the students could receive through technology, it was really exciting. Yes, I did do that. We continued it, and of course, since then, I've been very involved in the Promethean boards, the new lines. There's many, many programs out there for technology now for children.
What are Promethean boards?
Well, they're boards where they're called, you put information on it, they're called flip charts. And the students follows along, and it's a large screen, and they interact with it, so they get engaged. They come up, they write on it, they get involved in presenting things. So, and then also now the new line, which is a replacement of the other board. A lot of the students do exactly the same thing. It has our phonics program on it, it has our reading program, our math program, and the students just know how to click it on, use the research that they need, and then we continue using that material. So it's a really good resource for our schools now.
And you had to do distance learning during COVID, right?
During COVID, yes. I had an opportunity to learn how to teach through Google Classroom and how to get materials to the students, how to open up doors to talk through them through Zoom meetings. And that was probably one of the most challenging 2 years of my life, because the little ones didn't have teachers at home. The moms did their best, the dads did their best, but they didn't have like a teacher guiding and teaching. So they'd come on, they'd listen, but the follow through. We did have office hours where we invited children one-on-one after the program, which helped, I think, a little bit. But yeah, those were challenging years teaching Google Classroom online, right.
So where did the desire to become a teacher come from?
Well, I think it's just, for me, I think I have to fall back to Mrs. Murphy, fifth grade teacher, just stood out as someone who really cared for my family. We were in a very poor community growing up, and she noticed all the struggles we had as sisters and my mom, and so we ended up she kind of took us on, and I admired her teaching style and how she enriched me as well as my sisters. So I guess it was when I was in fifth grade that I just felt like that's where I was meant to be. So.
And talk about the awards you have received.
Oh my. Yeah, I've received Teacher of the Year through Canocti. I've received Teacher of Lake County for Canocti. I have received many mentoring certificates, mentoring a lot of teachers. I've been very actively involved when I was at Pomo Elementary School, being a facilitator for a reading program called Success for All, as well as Math Wings. And I was very active in that, so I facilitated both reading and math. And just recently, I was recognized. It's a new program called AVID. It's been around, but I was interviewed, acknowledged last summer as being a teacher and actively involved in teaching. And being this is my 53rd year of teaching, they interviewed me, they had me go on stage, they had a little, so those many awards that I really appreciate people recognizing all that is involved in my life.
And how have Lake County students changed over the years?
Mm-hmm. You know, when I think of that, I thought about that question a lot. A child is a child, and it's how a child is brought up. If if you're poor or if you're rich, it's how you treat the child, how you treat them in the way to acquire manners and respect of the community. And there are still children in the past as well as today that are those children. We're struggling more with families struggling raising children, though. And as a result, I find that they haven't quite acquired the patience and teaching respect to their little ones when they come to school. And that's a lot of extra work for a teacher to work with. Classroom management, building trust relationships. And when all that comes about, the child feels comfortable at school. And it's 6 hours, but at least they feel they're safe. And home life can be a little struggling for a lot of the children. Was it that way in the past? Well, in the past, you'd go to school, but you'd end up with a lot of chores when you went home. You didn't go to a television. You didn't automatically play. You had jobs to do. And I don't know how many parents carry through on that in today's society. So, yeah.
And what subjects are your students good at?
Well, I feel all subjects, like I say, it's a STEAM approach where I try to teach 5 subjects. It's reading, and I teach writing, I teach math, I teach technology, which is an important tool. I also teach science, and I teach social studies. So I try to cover all the subjects and blend them together, one theme, so they can associate connecting thoughts together. So.
And what are some of the challenges of being a teacher?
Well, some of the children who come to school aren't quite always ready to come. And so they need a lot of trust. They need to build, like, I'm okay, the teacher's okay, the teacher likes me. And that's so important because they're unsure of school. They're unsure how is a teacher going to teach me, treat me or teach me. And so I think those have been some of my struggles, is accepting all children, no matter where they're at in life, and developmentally and academically, they're all in different spaces in life. And building trust, though, and making the classroom their classroom has helped me a lot, which I like to pass on to other new teachers. So classroom management, key.
And what's the best part about being a teacher?
Oh, the joy of students just recognizing me and acknowledging and saying, thank you, I learned a lot, you're my best teacher. Of course, I know they say that a lot to other teachers, but it's just the encouragement and the words they say, little cards they write me, pictures they draw me faithfully. And I'm so glad I'm learning this. So they bring a lot of joy into my life. So I really appreciate that.
And who was your favorite boss and why?
Oh, wow. I have had 11 principals. And I think they all came with a lot to offer me. Some were more challenging than others. And I had an open mind to change, which you need when you have various bosses. And what I've had an opportunity to do with a lot of the new principals that come through while I'm teaching is building a trust with them and giving them suggestions from the past, and not saying this is the way we do it, but here's some ideas from the past, the way this school functioned in different aspects. And then they listen, and so I build up a trust with principals. So I have to say each one of them came ready to be a principal, but not always sure how to go about it. So that's where I kind of stepped in and hopefully pitched in, and they appreciated it.
So you have bumblebees in your classroom.
Do I have bumblebees? Yes.
Talk about that.
Yes. In 1971, I took an interest in the study of bees and how they affect planet Earth. So over the years, which have been 53 years, I have collected honeybees, bumblebees, themes about bees. My class is the honeybees, the busy bees, and the students learn a lot about how nature is affected by how we treat insects and things of that sort. So yeah, and what's so beautiful, I have parents who I'm now teaching their children, and they actually find something in the store and they bring it to me. And even students that are now in high school and college, they remember Mrs. Peterson, the busy bee, the bumblebee, and yeah, so I've acquired a lot, and it's pleasant, it's peaceful when you come into my classroom, yeah.
So are you married?
Yes, I'm married. I was married in 1978 to Patrick Peterson, and he took an interest in my teaching, and so when we started a family, he went into teaching, and he taught for 25 years, since retired, and in our marriage, we have our sons. We have 2 sons, Paul, and he graduated from Lower Lake High School. Now he works for a technology business. And also my son, Jonathan, who was born 2 years later, he works at the Capitol as a consultant for senators. And so we've had a good life, a good marriage. And we ventured out to Yosemite. We ventured to all the national parks, give the boys a lot of experiences as they were growing up. So yeah, it was, yeah.
How did you meet your husband?
Well, I met him on a blind date. Carol McClung, my friend, who worked as a secretary for Connaughton for many years, we always did things. She had married, and it was called a threesome. And her husband said, how about I meet you, we come to dinner, and I want to meet a friend. I have a friend I want you to meet. And he worked at Four Corners Lumberyard. He happened to have the same car I had. I did not know. I was totally unaware of what was going on. I went to their home for dinner, and of course then I met Patrick, and we dated for a year, and then we got married in 1978. So yeah, Carol McClung and Bud had a big influence in getting me, finding someone for me. So very thankful.
And do you remember anything special about your children when they were small?
Oh yes, they so enjoyed being outside, playing, collecting things, making things. My husband, as well as teaching, did a lot of woodcraft, and we had a workshop, and the boys would go down and learn how to build birdhouses or build. I remember they built me a box for my rainy day activities, and I still have it, and I still use it. So they did a lot of crafts with my husband. We did a lot of biking, venturing out, like I said, to different state parks, national parks. So the boys had a lot of, I think, amazing experiences growing up. And now the neat thing about it, they both fall back and go to those places again. And they enjoy it. So it worked. It was yeah. That was an exciting time in our lives, yeah.
So talk about teaching Sunday school and your love for Jesus.
Oh, yes. When I was a little girl, age 16, I accepted Jesus into my life. And in doing so, you want to serve. That's what part of Christianity is serving others. And so that's what I did. I was able to serve as a young person, little children. And then through that, as I advanced in getting older, I went to a lot of Christian camps. I learned a lot about being a missionary. So I stepped out in the missionary field, and that's when I went to Taiwan, came back, and got involved in church choirs. They have what they call a WANA, and I was directing that for many years, singing in the church choir. Being active, teaching Sunday school for 25 years at Grace Church in Lake County, or Kelseyville, which is Lake County. And and I just have continued doing it. So, and even have now children that go to our church that I have in my classroom. So it's kind of exciting to see the circle go around. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, anyway.
And how would you describe your personality?
I like to think of myself as kind and friendly. Open to change, wanting to learn. I feel like I'm a lifelong learner. I just keep wanting to find out more about teaching. Even now, all these new teaching programs that are available, I'm first to sign up. And I think that's good, because then what I'm learning and what I have learned, the past knowledge, prior knowledge, I can share with new teachers. And that's my desire, to just help new teachers feel comfortable in the field of teaching and want to teach. So.
And what are some of your greatest accomplishments?
Well, I think serving the Lord is my greatest accomplishment. And then also through that being able to use the gift of teaching, and then acquiring knowledge to reach out to all children and even teachers of all countries and all nationalities, and making them feel we're all here for a purpose. And so I feel like I've accomplished so much in my life, and it's been so rewarding.
What would you describe as the best day of your life?
Ooh, wow, the best day of my life. Well, maybe getting that letter in the mail in 1971 saying you have your first teaching job in Lake County, and not knowing where Lake County was. And that was so exciting for me. But then to see me, I was able to grow and learn from others and venture out. I even had an opportunity after I taught in Taiwan to go around the world. I had a little stipend they gave me to get back home, and another friend and myself, we traveled around the world. And that was the most exciting experience in my life also, getting to find out what other countries are like and other children, how they're taught. So many neat opportunities.
What's the best advice you could give future generations?
To love life and to find where they feel they can fit in and feel good about themselves as a person. And once they find love in their life and find out that they can give and serve, all the pieces will fall together. But you have to trust yourself, believe in yourself, and know that overall, all things work for the good.
And what have I not asked you that you'd like to share?
Oh, well, I think I've answered a lot of your questions, and I feel just so many opportunities that Konocti Unified School District has given me, and the opportunity of just meeting so many new teachers. I just get so excited about that. And then the district allowing me to teach teachers, that's been a blessing. So I think we pretty much covered an overview of my life.
Well, thank you so much for
You're
being
welcome.
here today and for sharing your stories.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for inviting me.
And these are your students.
Oh,
right?
yes. This was Pomo. A lot of years. All these kids.
Are you still in touch with any of your old students?
Yes, oh yes, and also, which I didn't mention, a lot of the students that I taught, there's at least 7 that are teachers in Konocti.
Wow.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, so these are all my students' journals. I taught all 3 of the journal boys. And,
they're right
Maddie.
across the street.
Yeah.
Their shop's across
Yeah,
the street.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
And as a matter of fact, they're doing construction work at Lower Lake fixing a fence. So just last weekend, I went over and talked with them and visited with them.
Oh.
And Maddie now goes to college, going to be, a model designer. She's
Oh, wow.
very pretty young lady. And then, some of these I do know. I've lost a few in life through different things, which...
Oh, students?
Yeah, that have died. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, this little gal went to Davis. I'm not sure what direction she went. And then her brother, he went to Berkeley, graduated from Berkeley. And I'm not sure what you graduate with a degree, but how you use the degree. You never, they try
Yes.
this and then they fall back.
Yeah.
So.
Who is your favorite principal?
You know what? I'm going to fall back on this one, Tracy. The reason she not only was a principal, she actually went in and taught. She didn't, I know principals have a lot of paperwork, and I know they have to deal with, and of course we have assistant principals now that deal with the discipline. But this little gal, she would do a math lesson. She'd bring her supplies. She would be so engaged. I'd like to see that in principals, because when they isolate themselves and just acknowledge with a hi or something, that's nice. But to actually go in, a principal go in and teach, these children, this group, she was there for 2 years and then she moved back east. But yeah, and then our little guy there, Raphael, now he's in the music field. Yeah, you probably know him. Yeah, and then Kate, this little girl, Kaya, she now works at Konocti in maintenance, but her mom, Nikki Emberson, she was a parent volunteer at the time, and I think she took an interest in teaching, and then she became a teacher. And a lot of times parents who work in my room take an interest in it. And I have another gal, Kim Elliott, who's over at the Riviera teaching kindergarten.
Oh.
And I have another mom who went into teaching. So these paras, they get a taste of what it feels like to teach. And I now have some right now going back to college, even though they're older, to get a degree so they can teach.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of exciting to see. Taryn also, very hard worker. She tried to get more of the various, science back, visual arts back. Oh, that's another thing I'm involved in. Oh, well, the musical grant. I'm part of the musical grant of Konocti. So we do, matter of fact, we do music, and I show, how to do music in the classroom. We also do, I set up field trips to go to Crocker Museum in Sacramento, TK through 3rd, so that they can experience what an art museum looks like. And so I'm involved in that activity too. Yeah, these are all my little friends.